Hello, Squirrel One here, and I'm going to show you a little card today using the hand penned petals, a range of things in the new hand penned petal suite for what is in effect a paper piercing and placing, colouring, whatever you like, little card, but it's using some lovely new things which I want to show you. So we're using some of the new designer series paper. I'm using a new die set, which I'll show you, and also I'm using some of the new Memories and More cards because I just think they're so pretty for this time of year coming into summer. So let's start at the beginning. So first of all, I'm going to start with these new cards. So these new cards come from the hand penned petals DSP, and they are the Memories and More cards. Sorry, the reason I'm just fiddling is because, oops, I've just realised I've stuck a bright pink thing on there. There we go. They come with a matching envelope, which as you can see has a beautiful decorated flap at the back, and they just make a really nice change. Imagine getting something like that through the post. How lovely is that? So what we're going to do is we're going to use the card base and go from there. So onto the card base, I've then cut a piece of 12 centimetre by 9 centimetre of the new hand penned paper. Now let me show you this paper because I think it's absolutely beautiful. The reason I'm just fiddling is I just need to move so as to get my papers are all of course to the side of me, but I've got a load of things on top of them. So these are the new hand penned papers, and how beautiful are they? So each sheet has some beautiful hand penned flags, and they're just so summery. They're using some of the lovely new in colours. So there's the fresh freesia. This one has the pale papaya on it. I love that one with the blue as well. A lovely one with the cinnamon cider colour, which is one of last year's in colour, and also some of the mint macaroon and garden green. So just lovely. And as always with the papers, you have some beautiful, very, very versatile alternative sides which can be used for all sorts of things, and what fantastic backings these are. So as I said, let me just put those to one side. I've used a piece of 12 centimetre by 9 centimetre. Now the hand penned dies, I'm going to show you those as well because they are really, really lovely. Here they are. And to get the edging effect, as I had on the paper here with the scallop, as you can see the scalloped edging there, I've used that lovely edging tool there. Now there are all sorts of things, because obviously there's also a stamp set that goes with this, although I'm not using this today in the set that I'm using, but it's such a lovely suite. So what we are using in the die cutouts that we use is the die that cut out, actually would cut out this stamp if you wanted to, but I'm just using the die. But as you can see, you've got a nice cluster, you've got a single larger flower, you've also got some beautiful, it could be cow parsley, it could be Queen Anne's lace, whatever you want it to be. And then you also have some nice, I would say slightly blurry fillings that you can use for the flowers if you want to, and a really nice set of sentiments, nice leaf shapes, and some little pairs of flowers to go in those as well. So as I said, we're not using the stamp set today, but it does all go together. So what I have used in order to get the scalloped edge on this paper is that scalloped edging tool. But the big die that I've used a lot of for making this card is this one. So it's very hard to see, but in effect what I've done is I am cutting out, and I have cut out from Whisper White, this die set, okay? But we're not just going to stick it back on and deal with it that way. We're going to do something a bit special with it. So I've got my hand penned, and you could leave it like that and have that as your basis. However, I wanted to make sure that we had some other variation on it. So what I've done is I've then also taken a piece of mint macaron, and this is a piece from an in colour set. This will be from the Subtle set, which is only 9 centimetres by 7 centimetres. As you can see, you get a self pattern, but they're really useful in terms of a little background, and that will go on there in a moment when I get that. So first of all, I'm going to stick down my hand penned. Where you do the scalloped edge, you also have a little little hole edge going in, so like a stitched edge to it. It's very pretty. So I'm just going to pop that on there, put that down, and because of the dots you should be able to get it fairly straight because the dots should help you. There we go. Now that will go on there, and you can have either side depending on which way you want it. I'm going to have the dot one, but before I do that, I'm going to, what I've done with my flower set is that I've actually taken out, I'm going to put them on here, so I've taken out some of the petals from inside the flowers. So if you remember, what I've done is I've coloured it. So what I've done is I've used the die cut to cut out the whole die set, and then I've taken out the petals from the individual flowers. It's not without some fussiness, because actually you're very worried. So you want bits to come out, like in between these leaves. Yes, you're happy to do it, but you have to make sure you've got all the bits of the flowers in order to do this effect, okay? So here I've got 2 of the petals. I'm going to put them on the yellow just for a minute so they stand out a bit. Okay, and then what I'm just going to do is I'm going to watercolour pencil them. So this is using one of Stampin' Up's watercolour pencils, and because they're pencils, well, there are lots of different ways you can colour your flowers. You could use blender pens, you could use Stampin' Right markers if you want it slightly bolder. So the original card I've done, this was using the Stampin' Right marker, so it's quite a bold statement with the colours, and these are some of the new colours. So this is the pale papaya, this is the fresh freesia, this was blushing bride. I think it wasn't the polished pink because I thought it was too bright and doesn't go with the base card as well. Okay, so I'm just going to use my watercolour pencil, and I'm just lightly going to colour it in. And don't forget, what I'm trying to do is give the petals a hint of colour. I'm just going to use my blender pen just to gently smooth the colour out. Just in order to, because it's nothing worse than watching somebody do the whole one. So what you do is you do this effect for the whole flower. I'm just going to use my pickup tool because actually I have already done it on the other petals. So here we go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use my pickup tool just to, I'm going to come around the other way, pop that petal back into the shape where it was the silhouette basically. So there we go. So that's ultimately where I've coloured in. I've used, this was actually a version of Flirty Flamingo, but very, very pale Flirty Flamingo. This is a pumpkin pie, but again, because we're using the watercolour pencils, you can make it very pale. And this was a Daffodil Delight. So, but very subtly, very quietly. Now, the trick here is to make sure that we can glue it so everything gets glued down. So you are just going to have to be really careful that you, I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to use my fine tip glue, but you could also use Tombow glue, just a liquid glue really, to make sure that you've properly glued down all the different bits. So I'm just going to and I'm just very carefully, apologies, slightly off screen when I pick it up and pop it back onto the front of my card. Before I squish anything down, I'm just going to make sure it's in place. And I would normally use a piece of scrap paper, but I'm just going to gently push it down. Now, you'll need to make sure that all the pieces that you've put back into the flowers are in the right place. There's one that's just come slightly awry. Need to get that back in, there we go. As you can see, I'm less worried about the ones that are the silhouette, the white ones. I'm trying to make sure that the coloured ones really stick in and stay in. I'm just going to turn it over for a second and just give it a big, nice, make sure there's plenty of contact on the other side. There we go. Isn't that pretty? So in order to give it a bit of an extra lift, I'm also going to show you today this fantastic, lovely new shimmery ribbon, which is one of the new in colour ribbons. This is the Pale Papaya, and I just thought it's so beautiful, this ribbon. So you can get them in all the new in colours, and I just love it, and it really adds a touch of glamour to your cards. So I've just used a very small piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it on the back. I'm just going to fold it in half so you've got the two ends showing, and I've just cut them on a slant. I'm just going to put some glue on the back of my mint macaron piece, fold my ribbons in half, and I know roughly how I'm going to do it with the front side looking, so I know roughly where it is. Oh, she says as she sticks it to all the wrong bits. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a moment this morning. Let me put that down, and then I can... There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to put some dimensionals on the corners. And they are. I'm going to put it just off the centre. Deliberately off to the centre, I should say, not. And then finally, there are some Stampin' Up I bought out, some Junior Gems they're called. I'm just going to use the other end of my pickup tool because to get them off. Put them on the, and they are in the sort of Pale Papaya, and she says looking for it, and the Soft Succulent. So I know the Soft Succulent isn't necessarily the right green for mint macaron, but it's just a little accent more than anything. There they are, aren't they pretty? So that is my hand penned, paper piercing and paper placing and colouring little card. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.